Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Midday News on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Uyi Agumofwebe, reminding our viewers that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. You can download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our 247 broadcasts. President Bola Tinubu has set up a committee to help restore sustainable peace to Benue State following last Friday's massacre in Yanawata community in Guma local government area, which saw around 200 people killed. Members of the peace committee selected by the president include former military governor of the state, retired General Atong Bera, Senator George Akume, Senator Gabriel Suswan, and Samuel Otom, all of whom are former governors of the state. The president urged Governor Alia to champion the activities of this peace committee, which also includes federal officials and non-indigenous living in the state. In a related development, President Bola Tinubu has directed security agencies to take decisive action against criminal elements responsible for the ongoing attacks in Benue State. Our correspondent, Felicity Ndiri, reports from Makurdi.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu arrived Benue State days after the latest attacks on the state by insurgents. Then he proceeded to the Benue State University Teaching Hospital for a brief stopover where he met with victims of the recent attacks. President Tinubu emphasized his administration's resolve to tackle security crisis head-on and calls for the formation of a peace committee and pledged full support for Benue State government's efforts to restore peace.
I expect there should be arrests of those criminals. Christopher, I know you can't be tired of staying in the bush and Oloyede and Pasha. Thank all of you, but we need to keep our ears to the ground. Let's get those criminals. Let's get them out.
Governor Hyacinth earlier thanked the president for visiting and called for the creation of a community support fund to assist displaced persons. He also renewed the call for the establishment of state police to strengthen internal security.
The federal government to consider establishing a special intervention fund for communities affected by these incessant attacks in Benue State.
For the paramount ruler of the Tiv Nation, Professor James Ayate, the violence in Benue is not merely a case of farmer herders clashes, but a well-orchestrated effort on his people. He appealed to the president to end what he described as genocide and reaffirmed the loyalty and support of the Tiv Nation to the federal government.
Remain tolerant, negotiate for peace, learn to live with your neighbors. What we are dealing with here in Benue is a calculated, well-planned, full-scale genocidal invasion and land grabbing campaign.
As the president concludes his visit, stakeholders stress the need for sincere dialogue and practical steps, not political rhetoric, to halt the continued killings and displacement in Benue communities. In Makurdi, Felicity Ndere, Global TV News.
Has lambasted President Bola Tinubu for turning his condolence visits to Benue State into what he calls a fanfare. In a post on his X handle, Obi frowned at the president's choice of Agbada attire and the atmosphere that trailed his visits to the state, noting that such fanfare contradicts the gravity of the tragedies that struck Benue and Niger states. The former governor of Anambra State maintained that the president should have appeared in mourning clothes rather than adorned himself in his usual Agbada regalia, given the situation of things on the ground. Let's now turn to other stories for you. Wife of Abia State Governor Priscilla Oti says the state will continue to protect the right of widows and vulnerable women to inherit landed properties in order to enable them be strong economically, which will further enhance their standard of living. The governor's wife spoke during an event to mark the 2025 International Widows' Day in Umuahia, the state capital. The First Lady, who was represented by the wife of the Deputy Governor, Adeze Emetu, stated that the theme of this year's celebration, Beyond Reason, rebuilding lives, strengthening communities, and challenging stigma was timely as it sought to address the numerous economic and social problems which can erode their dignity and potential of many widows. The Gaya Emirate Council in Kano State has withdrawn the traditional title of Wazirin Gaya from a former secretary to the Kano State government and chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Alhaji Usman Alhaji. Usman Alhaji served as the secretary to the state government under former Governor Abdullahi Gandije's administration. Although the Emirates did not give a specific reason for the decision, the move comes days after the former secretary to the state government under the banner of the APC Patriotic Volunteers accused Governor Abba Yusuf's new Nigeria People's Party-led administration of lacking direction, competence, and clear policy initiatives. Former Vice President Namadi Sambo has officially decamped from the opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP) to the All Progressives Congress (APC). Sambo served as Vice President of Nigeria from 19 May 2010 to 29 May 2015 under former President Goodluck Jonathan. Having served as Governor of Kaduna State from 2007 to 2010, Sambo became the latest high-profile politician to dump the PDP for the APC in the build-up to the 2027 general election. The Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, IPCR, has marked its 25th anniversary with a strong call for urgent action on the worsening humanitarian crisis in the Sahel region occasioned by impact of climate change. At a special event to commemorate the milestone held in the Institute's conference hall, experts, diplomats, and civil society leaders gathered to discuss the increasing threats of climate change aimed at conflict and internal displacements. Hassan Kabir was there for Global TV.
Sahel, which spans across parts of West and Central Africa, has become a hotspot for insecurity, food shortages, and forced migrations. Nigeria, especially the northern region, remains a focal in this crisis. From shrinking farmland to terrorist violence, communities in Borno, Yobe, Zamfara, Katsina, and parts of Niger State are experiencing both climate-related and security emergencies. Speaking at the event, the Director General of the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, Dr. Joseph Ochugu, stated that climate change is worsening conflict and displacement in the Sahel, especially in Nigeria. He therefore called for urgent, inclusive, and preventive response through peace building, climate resilience, and youth empowerment. He aligned the theme of the seminar with President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda and appreciates support from partners like Frederick Ebert Stephen.
As we celebrate today, please note also that we also align with President Tinubu's foreign policy doctrine, which is the 4D anchored on democracy, development, demography, and diaspora.
Ambassador Usman Serki, who was the guest speaker, emphasizes the need for collaboration with the government, highlighting ways to curb the menace.
Itself is a major player and stakeholder in the Sahel region. However, the sudden rupture and dramatic exit of these countries from the body will make it difficult, will make it doubtful if the cause can have any significance in determining or shaping the course of events and developments in the central Sahel region.
Speaking to journalists, the guest speaker stressed the need to find a lasting solutions to the climate change, armed conflict, and internal displacement in the Sahel region.
My recommendation is for the Nigerian government to dedicate a special space for the study of the conflicts and situations in the Sahel region.
Stakeholders and participants expressed hope that efforts will move from discussion to actions aimed at building a peaceful, climate-resilient Sahel, where displacement and conflict no longer define the future. Hassan Kabir reporting for Global TV News.
Away from Kabir Hassan's story now, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has received 147 Nigerians who voluntarily returned from Agadez in Niger Republic. The repatriation was coordinated by the International Organization for Migration, IOM, in collaboration with other stakeholders involved in migrant support and reintegration. The agency disclosed that out of the 140 returnees, 143 were adult males. There was one male child and one adult female among the group. This is Global Television. You're on to the live broadcast of the Midday News with Uyi Agumofwebe. When the rest of the news returns shortly, governors decry World Bank's delay in NG Care's funding commitments. We have those details coming shortly, plus foreign and sports stories for you. Please stay with us.
Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Thank you so very much, everyone, for staying with us here and watching the live broadcast of the Midday News. Let's turn to business now. President Bola Tinubu is expected in Kaduna State today for the inauguration of several key developmental projects executed by the administration of Governor Ubasani. The projects lined up for inauguration include the 300-bed specialist hospital in Millennium City, Kaduna, built by the state government to bolster the provision of healthcare services. Tinubu will also inaugurate the Institute of Vocational Training and Skills Development in Rigachikun road projects in Soba and Samaru Kataf local government areas, as well as the 24-kilometer Kafachan Township Road. Apparently, the president has a full itinerary this week, especially beginning from Benue State. Telecommunications operators in Nigeria now have direct access to revenue generated from unstructured supplementary service data services, popularly called USSD, following a new billing arrangement approved by the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, and the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. The new model, known as the End-User Billing Framework, allows the telecoms operators to deduct USSD service charges directly from subscribers' airtime balances, eliminating the role of banks as intermediaries in the payment process. Mobile operators had completed and complained that banks were collecting service fees from customers without remitting the funds to operators, despite having received over 200 billion naira worth of services by the end of last year. Governors across Nigeria have expressed concern over World Bank's delay in fulfilling its financial commitments under the Nigerian Community Action Recovery and Economic Stimulus, also known as NG Cares program, despite $2.2 billion in investments made by the 36 states. NG Cares is a World Bank-supported initiative which stands for Nigeria COVID-19 Action Recovery and Economic Stimulus. It is designed to mitigate the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on vulnerable households and businesses. The program is aimed at restoring livelihoods, improving food security, as well as supporting the recovery of micro and small-scale enterprises, MSMEs. And now time to take you into the foreign scene, where a nurse has been sentenced to life in prison for killing 5 babies and attempting to murder 8 others at a hospital in Argentina. Brenda Cecilia Aguero injected potassium and insulin into newborns between March and June of 2022, taking doses from emergency medical cards without inventory control, as according to prosecutors. Under Argentine law, Aguero will now be eligible for parole before serving 35 years. The India Airlines chairman says one of the engines of the Air India plane that crashed last week was new, while the other was not due for service until December. In an interview, Natajaran Chagaruskan said both engines of the aircraft had, quote, clean histories. At least 270 people, most of them passengers, were killed last Thursday when a I-171, a London-bound Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, crashed less than a minute after taking off from Ahmedabad Airport in western India. Let's find some excitement from the world of sports now. Newly promoted French League One side Paris FC have reached an agreement with FC Nantes for the transfer of Nigerian international Moses Simon. Moses has been a key target for Paris FC this summer as they look to strengthen a squad that will be playing in League One for the first time in 46 years. The deal to land the 29-year-old is said to be around 7 million euros. Quest France had previously reported that Paris had sent a bid of around 5 million euros for the forward. However, Foot Mercato writes that this fell short of Nantes' expectations. The Professional Footballers Association has announced the top 6 finalists for the 2025 Young Player of the Year award, highlighting a standout group of emerging talents who have impressed across the Premier League and beyond last season. The nominees include Liam Delap, Jean Hushie, Milos Kekes, Miles Lewis Kelly, Ethan Onweri, and Morgan Rogers. Each player has earned recognition for their contributions to their respective clubs with standout performances that underline their growing influence on the pitch. And that's your media news here on Global Television. Just a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times 276. We urge you to kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen, including at